right, Ange? There. Hello. Thank you for everyone dropping heart. Say happy Friday in the comment section. Hello, MJ, Kasar, Shami Bell, Adine, Joshua James, Nadelia, who is tuning in live. Happiest Friday, everyone. And today I want to welcome you all for our very first live. First ka talaga, babe. Hashtag
Yeah.
Squad Talk. So this type of, should I say chit chat? I call it just a chit chat. Is for me, squads, interviewing some of our VA squads and freelancers who are hashtag thriving in the industry.
Okay.
And I wanted to hop in, go live, mag-live na tayo, mag-start na tayo, and introduce our speaker for today. As you can see her on the screen,
Hi,
introduce kita ng
guys.
formally. So she is one of, should I say, a person who's really close to my heart. We're gonna tell you more about that as we go. She
Yes.
is a serial graphic designer, and not just graphic designer, but a branding creatives. And I'm so excited to do this squad talk with her. I've been asking her squads. We're just so busy of making this, happen and bring it to life. But really, I have here one of my amazing friend and one of the hashtag thriving freelancer I've known in my life so far, Angelina Atega. Everyone give her a heart and say hi, Ange, in the chat box. Hello, Ange. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thank you, babe, for having me. I'm so excited for this
Let's pre-
podcast,
let's
this talk.
pretend that we are not talking for like 45 minutes before we go live
I know.
here inside your
Bigyan
confident
na
VA
pag-usapan.
community. I know. But really, this is just a sit back, chill type of squad talk that I'll be having with you. But I truly want to share your story. Syempre, yung story din natin when we started.
Yes,
And I believe that there's a lot of people who will be inspired by you, and they will really get a lot of maybe tips or learning how did they start their freelance career. And not limited to just creatives, but siguro yung challenging journey bago
mm,
tayo mag-thrive as freelancers, graphic designers. So let me know, and let us know rather in the chat box if you're an aspiring graphic designer too, or a branding creatives, or you just felt like you have a creative spirit in you and you wanted to sell that
true.
skill, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. But really, let's just get started. And I think the first question I'd love to ask you is, paano ka ba talaga na-introduce sa freelancing? Like, tell us something about your story. Who were you before freelancing, and what are the great things that you are doing at the moment?
Sure. First of all, hi guys. I just want to know where you guys are tuning from. I'm seeing a lot of people from our 9 to 5 before, and it's just so fun seeing them live with us right now. I have my sisters who's also watching. Bojo was like asking me earlier, ate, sabi mo kay ate Julie, paggalawin niya ang baso at gusto kong manood ng live. So here we are. Thank you so much for the love and hearts. I saw CD sending a lot. Yeah, well, it's I don't know. At first, well, freelancing, it's not something that I discovered by accident, just like some other people that I know in this space, right? It was introduced to me by Julie. Yeah. You guys know that we somehow kasama kami sa journey na to eh. And I can still vividly remember when we started, it was right after QTA, right? We had this QTA and then we decided let's have a coffee after. And it was at one of our favorite cafe nearby, Staple and
Yes.
Kirk. I'm not sure if you still remember that, babe. But that time, we really weren't using this word freelancing, right? Hindi pa namin masyadong alam yung ganyang term.
True.
At first, we're like discussing about time and financial freedom and how we can somehow achieve that. Ganun kami ka-seryoso mag-usap dati. So, yun yung pinag-uusapan namin. And then, so it's like a simple discussion about that. Paano natin makukuha? Ano, saan ba tayo pwede magsimula? Because obviously, when we were still at that 9 to 5 job, although we were managers, but I know a lot of team managers and operations manager out there can relate. Hindi siya I mean, the amount of money, the salary that we're getting is not that promising, right? That's not as if it would cover a lot, especially for someone like me who loves traveling. I feel like it's just enough for me to pay my bills and not really spend some other amount in the stuff that I love doing, right? And so we had that conversation for long. Siguro nakailang balik kami sa coffee shop and then we keep on discussing it until one time she was like telling me, and babe, pretend as if you're not in here. I was like talking directly to squads, right? So after that, we had this conversation, and then one time she was like, you know what, babe, I have this client. I've been working with her for quite a while now. She's looking for a VA who's going to support one of her clients. It's like supporting Julie's client, so something to that effect. And it's Philippa, right? My very first client, and still my client even up to this day. And I just
Hi,
so love.
Philippa.
Hi, Philippa. And I was just going to listen to this, so I have to like. I promised myself, Philippa, I'm going to make sure that this is going to be an English speaking type of
We're gonna
interview.
send it to her.
Yeah. I don't want to explain it to her words by words, but yeah, I know she'll be listening to this because she's like asking me to be a guest on her podcast. And I was like, I'll try doing it right after Julie's just so I can have like a little bit of, a practice. So yeah, it was Philippa. She's my very first client. That's actually how it started. I remember it was just right after my shifts. It's like an 8-hour shift as a team manager. And then pag-uwi ko ng bahay, pak, diretso kaagad sa interview. I was overwhelmed at first because it was my very first interview outside corporate, right? And it's so informal. I was like, okay, is this really how the interview process works here in this
True.
freelance? This is so fun because Philippa was just wearing a sando, and it's right after, I think, right after her webinar or something.
Yeah,
So hindi siya ganun
training.
ka-formal. And then we went on an interview. It really doesn't feel like it's an interview at all. Really doesn't have something to talk about my skills because obviously hindi pa ako nagsistart, right? Wala
Yeah.
pa akong skills na may pagmamalaki. I don't have my portfolio at that time, right? It was just sort of like a practice that I think I can do this stuff, but I really haven't tried doing it because this is my first time. And so yeah, right after that, luckily I got the post right after she interviewed I think 5 candidates for to
Yeah.
play as her VA. And then what's funny about that, well, not Taha type of funny, but right after, it's like 3 months after me getting the post, I was like asking her, so what made you decide to like chose me as your VA? And she was like, because you're wearing bikinis. I saw your Instagram and you're like living the life of being,
A
an island
mermaid.
girl and being a mermaid and all those sort of stuff. And it's just fun. I feel like it's something that really pushed me to kind of want out of the 9 to 5 job. I
Yeah.
feel like deep inside me, that feeling na you were chosen not because of your skills and your capacity, knowing that I was a leader back in my previous job, hindi ko siya madala outside, right? And this is the type of job na pinili ako because of my vibe, because of my energy, and it just feels different. It feels so surreal, and I'm loving it.
Yay. You know what, Ange? I'd love to put everything in snippet. And you see my
Yeah.
excitement when you were telling the story. And something I'd love to share to everyone, journey namin ni Ange, no, is sobrang mahirap siya, squad. And I think something I'd love to maybe stress a little bit here is that you mentioned something about you don't have a portfolio when you started.
Yes.
Um, and I can attest to that because I was the one who introduced you to the client.
Yes.
I just called her. So it was me that time, squad, that I was doing this for a part-time job. I was still working at night, and that's why we've been talking. And every time we go on break, sabay kami nagbe-break ni Ange. I was an operations manager that time. I would go to her station. She was a coach that time, supporting team, and I would ask her, Ange, please go on with the coffee with grab a coffee with me. But we were gonna talk about a lot of things different from what
Yeah.
we're doing inside
Exactly.
the
True.
office. So
Yeah.
if you are watching right now and you're one of our co-worker before, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're having
Now you
coffee.
guys know.
Now you guys know. But really, the things that we were having conversations about is that we have a lot of worries, diba? And if you remember, we don't know what are the skills needed to be a freelancer. Are we even qualified? And
Yes.
truth be told, for the benefit of everyone, maybe this is just our personal story or experience, but we couldn't bring, should I say, little to no experience or skill that we've done inside our corporate job that we literally use to become freelancers. So
Yeah.
I think that the beauty of our journey is that we'll just waited for our client to trust us without showing anything because we don't have anything to show.
Right.
And I hope that's pretty inspiring for everyone, babe, because there's a lot of people here who does not have a VA
Yes.
experience. And
Mhm.
drop a or maybe a heart in the chat box if you can relate to it. And they felt really bad or sad because they felt like they can't be a freelancer because of not having that experience. It's like I don't have an experience, so I was not given a chance to have an experience to become a VA.
Right.
And maybe I'd love to talk a lot more on that part.
Hmm.
But before that, I just wanted to maybe share a little bit of challenging story that we had when we're starting. Do you remember the time? This is so funny. I
Yeah.
used to laugh at it. Sh- No, I used to cry about it before. Do you remember the time that I don't have an internet connection in our place
Oh
and
yes.
I had to borrow a prepaid Wi-Fi so I can work for my
Yeah.
client? Do you remember that?
Yep. I still
Oh my
have that.
gosh. Yes.
You said
So
it back. I still have that.
yeah, I just wanted to share that story to them, squads, because there was a time I don't have an internet connection. I have to be with my partner that time and wala kaming postpaid internet. Ang internet ko nasa bahay kaya ako nakakapag-freelance. But I asked Ange to, give me her prepaid Globe Wi-Fi. Oh my God. Imagine this. From QC, nag-travel papuntang Parañaque City yung Globe prepaid Wi-Fi para
Makakonect na.
makapag-work ako. Kasi that time, I think I was in the middle of that decision that I thought was crazy of quitting my
Yeah.
corporate job. That was March 2020, and I told you, babe, I am quitting my job. It's my last day, March 13th, and bye. And then come March, I think fourth week of March, I was like, I don't have internet. I don't know how to work with my client. And then I asked her, do you have a pre? And then I think I just told you that message, and you said, you know what? I have a prepaid Wi-Fi here. You can borrow it. And I
Yeah.
was crying. I was crying not because you helped me, but because I feel so bad about myself asking help. But you know what, squad, for those of you who's tuning in live right now, you would really come to a point that you would have to just ask help, to someone else's. And yun lang yung kailangan mong gawin para makapag-continue ka sa iyong journey. And I just really want to stress that out here kasi alam mo yun, wala akong magandang laptop, wala akong magandang wala akong iPad, mga ganyan, 'di ba? Yun yung mga unang
Yeah.
concerns eh. Hindi ko alam kung qualified ba akong maging freelancer. But truly, you just gotta have to start somewhere. And
True.
if we talked about all the challenges we face, that time scale like 2 years ago, this would be a 4-hour squad talk. So I'm
Conversation.
just gonna pause right there. But really, Ange, I have a question
Sure.
to you that I felt like a lot of people is interested to ask. Um, what can you say about freelance aspirants who's here inside the room? Drop number one in the chat box if you're a freelance aspirant and they have that kind of feeling like they lack of something and or they don't have a VA experience and they just really want to start.
For me, it's, I don't know. I would always say, and with when we have this conversation, I think it was just a couple of days back, when you remember about that, advice that I gave you the last time. Like, you got to start somewhere. You don't have to look at your situation as if it's going to be like the end of it. Like, you really have to push yourself, right? To me, I had that experience too when I don't have any type of connection. I was so upset because I have this commitment with my clients, and you know iba yung pakiramdam na you promise something and then yet you can't
Yeah.
deliver it in a specific time just because you don't have a good connection. And I was at Siargao at that time when they had this, massive typhoon and everything
Typhoon.
like that.
Yeah.
Yes, Jabin and Sarah, if you guys are watching, I know you guys can attest to this. I was so upset and at the same time so disappointed with myself that I let that happen. But you don't have to like think of your situation, current situation, as if it's going to be the end of it, right? Hindi porket na walang ka ng connection, wala kang ganito, wala kang ganyan, and you'll have to stop there, right? I feel like that's such a disrespect to your future self. Like if you're thinking
Wow.
about having this massive success, if you're planning to like reach this type of goal and just you're just gonna stop yourself in the middle of like wala kasi akong ganito, wala kasi akong ganyan, then you'll stop from there. It's like you accepting to yourself or telling yourself that, you know what, I'm such a big loser, right? You just have to really push for it. And if you can ask help from people who are around you, maybe find someone who's in the place where you know they're now at a certain level where they are thriving or whatever, because I'm sure they can easily relate. Just like
Yeah.
me and Julie, right? We can easily relate to you guys because we've been there, been part of that, you know part of that phase wherein we don't know what to where to who to ask, where to go, or
Yeah.
how to connect, and even how to deliver and everything like that. So there's always this point where you'll reach that part of your life, especially when you're starting this type of career, but you don't have to like let that stop you from thriving or from reaching a certain goal just because you were in that space or in that area of your life, right? And sabi nga nila, ang problema or any type of negative situation, hindi yan tinatambayan, just simply pass there, right? And really think of, okay, this is just a tunnel that I have to like pass, and then after that I'll be seeing some lights after this dark or some stuff. So
I
yeah,
love
it's really
that.
just about pushing and motivating yourself. No one's gonna do that for you, squad. You have to do it yourself. And
Yep.
if you can't find any of that, then reach out to the right people. Yeah.
I love that. And I think just to add to that, for those of you who's tuning live, even if you're watching the replay, when Ange mentioned something about, it's such a huge disrespect to yourself of not saying yes to something that is showing up in front of your face as an opportunity, and you are just so focused on the things that you lack of. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And sometimes we are just so focused on the things we do not have, and we felt like we don't have the things that's showing up in front of us: opportunity, career, people, connection, friends, our social medias that are, by the way, raining with all clients that you can connect with. um,
Yes.
is the kind of opportunities that you just have to start going and try it. And I believe that there's a lot of people, maybe it's just a nature we have, and I'm included, Ash is included. We're so afraid of getting rejected. But
Mhm.
really, that is something you have to experience early on rather
Yeah.
than experience it later. And you felt like you're learning from what? Step one, right? So you got to be able to really fight your own. I don't have it. I need it. Oh, how come that I think she can do her work? I think she was a successful freelancer because she's using a high quality of devices. Let me just tell you, there are people who started using their smartphone to be a social media
Yeah.
engagers. There are people who uses their smartphone to do to be an executive VA, using downloading an app, a Google Mail, kahit ano, basta ma-assist lang nila yung client nila. You
True.
gotta start somewhere, and that includes learning. And I think Ange can tell a lot of this. We don't have, when we started Squad, we did not invest prior jumping into freelancing. We didn't get a chance to invest in our knowledge just
Yeah.
because, one of our problem is paying the bills. That's why we're looking for a side hustle. Let's start from there.
True.
And number two, maybe it's our responsibility of doing more research. Oh, meron ba tayong freelance training that we can attend? But really, we spend tons of times of figuring things out ourselves. And nung kumita na lang kami sa freelance, doon na lang kami naka-invest talaga sa aming learning, right?
Yeah.
And really, Ange, I think a follow-up question that I want for you to maybe share. This is actually a question from a VA squad. So it says here, what was the one thing you wish you had known when you began your freelance career?
There's actually tons of it, but I would want to highlight. I wish I would have known how to do certain like niches. We don't have. I mean, it's just when we were the latter part of our of this journey when we somehow learn about that, and I just want to highlight how you guys are so lucky and so privileged to be able to have this V Academy, your Confident VA Squad, as your like a one-stop group where it has lots of information about things that you need in order to support you. Kasi when Julie and I started, wala kami nito. Like, lucky me because I have Julie who's supporting me. She's like my walking VA book, if there's a term like that. But we don't have a group that we can somehow connect to and can relate to what we're going through. So we really have to like get every pieces of information from everywhere, and it's just so overwhelming, especially that we're on a process of like starting our career, right? And so I wish I would have known something about certain niches and really trusting and focusing on the things that I'm really good at, that I'm so big and it's something I'm so passionate about. And if you would ask me bakit ito, um when you're starting your journey with freelancing, there's a lot of opportunity. It's called freelancing for a certain reason, right? Everything is for free, and there is a lot of opportunities that's actually being thrown at you like everywhere. And if you're starting, hindi malabong, hindi ka ma-overwhelm. I myself at first, gusto ko saluhin lahat ng opportunity na binibigay sa akin. That's how overwhelmed I am. And that's how I wanted to take advantage of the situation. Kasi first time, feeling ko nakalabas kami sa box na nakulong kami for how many years. And so when opportunities were like given our way, parang gusto ko siyang saluhin lahat. And I wish I would have known something about focusing on your niches and focusing on the things that you're really good at. It would have saved me a lot of effort and time knowing things that I feel like it's more of like fixing things that are my weaknesses or that are really part of my deficiencies. And if you would somehow, look at it in a more, I don't know, self-discovery type of perspective, if you know that this is something that you're so good at and you're like focusing on it, that's like your gateway towards your success. So
Yes.
sana lang na-realize ko siya, na-discover ko siya ahead of time, right? I would have jumped into designing immediately, jump into creating funnels immediately, jump into branding immediately. It would have made my life a lot easier with ease and flow if I would have known that from the very beginning, right? Because when we started, lahat sinasalo namin, like every VA, general VA staff, wala kaming pinapalagpas because we want to cater every clients that's coming our
Client.
way. Wala kaming gustong, alam mo yun, parang di saluhin kasi that's an opportunity for us to earn, right? Without really thinking, is this something that I love doing? Well, mostly some, especially if it has something to do with designing, absolutely yes. But if it has something to do with systemization, doing this stuff, doing that stuff, data entry, and I'm telling you guys, those are the things that I'm not so good at because I don't know, I feel like my heart is really belongs to designing and those are really my craft. But if I would have known that right from the beginning, it would have helped me develop more of my skills rather than like trying to fix and trying to fit myself into things that are really not for me and maybe can be an opportunity for other people who's really good at it. So yeah, sana na ano ko siya, na-discover ko siya ahead of time.
I love that, the way you share it, babe, is like in a positive note, you would
Mm-hmm.
really come to a point where, especially when you're starting, and I'm saying this in a perspective that you are someone who's working in a corporate setting and you have a very good salary, you're in a really good role, you are leading people just like what you're doing in the past. You would really have to start from square one. So
Yeah.
regardless of who you are in the industry, corporate, whatever is it that you do outside of freelancing, we are all going to start from zero. Walang
Yes.
walang five agad, walang ganon. You
True.
are again little to no skills and experiences that you can bring inside of freelancing,
True.
and maybe this is just our experience. Second is that we really have to try everything, and I think we say yes to all opportunity, just like what Ange mentioned. It's because we need income.
Yep.
Our mindset that time squad was, we want to quit our corporate job. We wanted to say yes to our desire, and this is a good opportunity for us to work at home and be
Mm-hmm.
safe with all the pandemics that's happening outside 2 years ago,
Right.
right? So I think just kind of an FYI for everyone. When we say you got to find time to niche down, it's very important for you to also embrace the experience of
Mm-hmm.
trying it all. Because, babe, you know me, I'm fan of try it all. If you want to go, you want to be a general virtual assistant at the same time, you want to be a graphic designer, SMM plus an automation. Oh, I mean, by all means, open all the doors, get yourself inside, and then what? Step back and make a decision which of these doors you wanted to permanently close, because you'll be like, I hate myself doing this. I don't
Yeah.
want to see myself doing this thing. And
Mhm.
you just got to enjoy the journey, squads, and experiencing
True.
everything until you find the specific role or a skill that you want to do because you love it and you are profitable. Drop profit in the chat box for me if you're tuning in live. So hindi madali talaga na malaman mo agad yung gusto mong gawin. And in
Mhm.
order for you to really find that out, you have to try it out. You have to try it all. With an exception, of course, quad of, don't say yes. I think this is our, tawag ko dito, Ange, parang sakit natin tong mga Pinoy. Yung tipong
Yeah.
sasabihin mo sa client, yes, I can do that. Fake it till we make it type of thing.
Yes.
Um, I hope that's going to be your last resort of getting a client, because it's not going to help you. You will end
Mhm.
up doing a job that could have been done by someone else's for an hour and you've done it for 4 to 5 or 6 hours worst, right? That's not something you enjoy. And most of the time, a lot of freelancers say, you know what? It was hard for me. This journey is hard for me. I am getting myself out of this journey of freelancing just because the first experience was worse. And in the
Yeah.
first place, we put ourselves in there. So extremely be selective with the people that you're going to work with. And I think we can talk a lot more of that in the future. But before you can niche down, squad, don't be so obsessed of identifying what you want to do, just one thing you want to do. You're going to find that out
Yeah.
as you move forward. And I think you got to experience it. Open all the doors of opportunity, right? Get all the
Mhm.
opportunity. Nalala ko tuloy yung, babe, may hiring dito. Ito may client na to. I remember ourselves. May natatakot ako. I've never done that. Aralin mo muna and then go accept the project. Oh my gosh. Like, okay lang. It was kind of an experience that we had a hard time of doing when we started.
True.
But right now, we are literally laughing out about it because we've learned our mistake. And, you know, being confused, getting lost, when you try something new is totally fine. And then you
True.
got to enjoy the journey. I think the most important thing here, baby, let me know if you agree, is that you really keep yourself pushing forward and trying all the things. Hindi ka
Yeah.
yung tipong freelancer na seasonal. Seasonal
Yeah.
freelancer. Kung
Right.
kailan demand, dun lang papasok. Kung kailan
Yeah.
high time ng freelancing, dun lang gagamitin yung skill. Kung kailan mawawalan lang ng income, kailangan may bayarang bill, dun lang maghahanap ng client. No.
True.
If you truly wanted to #thrive in this industry, you got to be really consistent. And when I say consistent, that does not mean you're not resting. It's just a matter of you putting a lot of respect to yourself that, hey, I want to say yes to this. And I respect myself doing this. And therefore, I'm going to say yes to it and do all the things that I can to
Mhm.
for this journey to say yes to me, you know?
Yes.
And the result of that is your income. Now, I want to transition the question to this second one. Should I say the third one was a bit personal? Maybe not. It says here,
Mhm.
what is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
For me, failure, I wouldn't use the word failure, babe, because to me that's a big word, but I would say learning opportunity. And I guess this is more of like, huwag masyado magpadala sa shiny object. Talagang tinagalog ko siya. I'm gonna have a hard time translating this to
I
Philippa, but it's
can
more of
relate so much. I'm gonna put a heart
yes.
on that.
And I think it's somehow related to what you mentioned earlier about being a seasonal freelancer, right? Parang gusto mo lang siya because it's on demand and you just saying yes to an opportunity because you see that another freelancer is thriving with that type of, let's say, niche or whatever, right? And it's not that I'm like trying to catch that shiny objects before, but I kind of reached to that point where I want to try it, not because I feel deep within my soul that this is something that I want to do and something that I enjoy doing, but because I see that a certain freelancer, or I saw a lot of thriving people out there doing the same stuff, and I was like, okay, might as well try it. And
Mhm.
well, the learning process is amazing. It's perfect because it taught me a lot in terms of some basic stuff that I can actually incorporate now to my designs and doing my signature pieces and all those kind of stuff. But I feel like mali yung pinagugutan ko, right? Instead of me trying to look at things in a more like looking at it, how can I improve myself with this type of, how can I strategize using the strategy that they are actually using and how they're thriving or whatnot. I kind of just follow the path that they're actually doing, or the type of work that they're doing, and I feel like that's not really how it's supposed to be. um I know a lot of people might get triggered to this, right? I'm not saying that you know having the same, I mean, walking the same path, just like what other people, especially the thriving people, is currently doing, is just wrong, right? You guys can definitely look up to them, right? Trying to you really check and see ano bang part ng strategy nila yung nag-work that I can incorporate to my own, right? What I'm saying is that yung tipong tinatry mo siya, but at the same time, wala yung, kumbaga wala yung puso mo dun sa part na dahil matutulungan ako nito. Because you're just looking at shiny objects. Like, gusto mo lang siya kasi nakita mo na, okay, they're thriving, gagawin ko din to. Hindi dahil gusto ko siya, nakita ko lang kasi siya na kumikita, so I might as well do this. And to me, that's wrong, right? Again, it's somehow I reached that point where it's somehow blocking me to really do the stuff that I love doing, just because I keep on pushing myself na okay, hindi to kikita kasi I don't see, and at that time I don't see anyone thriving from a designing um type of niches. Wala akong nakikita na umaasenso at that time. Maybe I was just too blinded to really see it on a positive note, or maybe I was just not searching enough to really see a lot of designers thriving out there. But I was too focused looking at people who are really doing good. Like they're like earning six-figure consistently in a monthly basis. And I was like, oh my God, I mean, am I on the right path, or do I need to copy this and copy that until I kind of reached that point where I have this conversation with you, babe, and I was like telling you, you know what, I feel like I have to step back. I have to reassess myself and really try to get to know myself better, right? And use that. Remember that book that we had back in our leadership days, like the Strength Finder 2.0? That was a game changer book for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of step back and trying to read that and reassess myself. Is this really something that really sets my souls on fire? Because if not, then what's the point of me doing this, right? Yes, I get to try it, I learn from it, and now what, right? Do I need to continue doing this just because I'm earning a little bit of amount of money from it? Absolutely not. So I have to like focus myself on doing stuff that can really help me in terms of not only earning but also making sure that I'm putting myself into that point where I'm doing things that I love doing. So that's when I really started, okay, kailangan ko na mag-focus sa designing, right? I was like telling myself, doesn't matter kung kikita to or hindi, as long as I can sit in my office table and do this. Kahit siguro 20 hours ako naupo dito, hindi ako masa-stress, hindi ako mape-pressure just because I love exactly what I'm doing, right? Hindi yung tipong ako ginagawa ko lang siya just because I saw, this type of freelancers is actually doing it and they're thriving. So gawin ko nga rin siya. So maybe those are some of the things that I wish I would have known ahead of time. Sana mas nasave ko yung sarili ko sa stress and a lot of pressure, right? Because I'm putting that pressure on myself. I was like, may mali ba sa akin? Bakit hindi ko siya matutunan agad-agad? At ba't hindi ako makapag-strategize at kumita ng mas malakihang, amount sa part na to? Maybe there's just something wrong with me without really knowing that, you know what, that's not something that you're built for, right? You gotta do what you gotta do by learning it, but really trying to stop from there and not really trying to focus yourself into things that you love doing, and using that as your thriving emblem or whatever, then di ba wala talagang patutunguhan. So I'm glad that I made that choice and I really give my time, I mean myself, that time to assess, do sort of self-discovery. I think that's so important. Like, for those who's wanting to like jump into this space, I'd say you got to start with that. um you'll save yourself a lot in terms of getting overwhelmed, right? Copying, I don't know, strategies from people that you think will work for you, but really, I'm not saying it's not. Definitely you'll experience a little success here and there, but you'll reach that point where you'll get, I don't know, drained from the core, just
Yeah.
because you're trying to like do stuff that's really not for you. You know what I mean? Like, hindi ko sinasabi na wag mo siyang gayahin. Maybe try to do tweaking it, like trying to personalize it, right? Not exactly trying to fit your personality and your style and everything that you have that's solely in line with your vibration, with your energy and how you work at things. I think
Mhm.
that's going to be like a perfect combination and really not just go with something na okay, gusto ko lang siyang gawin kasi nakita ko si Julie Babe thriving dito, 'di ba? Yeah,
I
I think that's
remember I remember
mm,
that time we were chatting. And by the way, squads, yes, we do have this very abrupt Zoom chat with Ange. And that's just a
yeah,
kind of a friendship we build even before we start freelancing. Though we work for almost a decade, I think he stayed in that company that we used to work for 10
yeah.
years to be exact.
Mhm.
We didn't get a chance really to chit chat. And the closest we've had before I quit my corporate job, that was the only thing I can remember that we talked about different stuff. We're not
Yes.
really talking inside the office before. But I would agree with what you mentioned about the shiny object. Feeling ko nga, babe, sakit talaga ng mga ano yun, mga first time mag-freelance. So that was the same sickness I had when I started. And I can relate so much to you, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people inside your Confident VA community and even here in Zoom can relate that sometimes pag may nakikita tayong mga ibang freelancer who's earning gazillion of money,
Yeah.
especially on TikTok, because I use that platform too. There's two things that we do. Apparently, negative things we do. Number one, we hop in and check what exactly are they doing. So let's say, for example, they're doing a specific niche that are totally different with what you wanted to do. You
Mm.
will literally push yourself to study it just because your motivation is around getting money. And we are trained by our mentors that if that's the kind of motivation you have, you are not going to go far and
Yeah.
you're not going to be really successful if the
True.
money is your motivation. I don't know why, but that it's just gonna crush you somewhere in the middle.
Mhm.
Hopefully earlier than that, but it's just going to be painful because I've tried that. Number
Yeah.
two, you are going to self validate yourself and
Exactly.
negatively validating yourself. Like, oh my gosh, I saw this video. She's earning 1 million peso in a month. I am earning that working like a lizard. Haggard na ako dito. Parang wala pa yata sa one-fourth ng isang taon yung kikitain ko compared sa kanya.
I mean, true.
I'm tired of what I'm doing. Ganyan na agad, 'di ba? And if by any chance, Claude, that you catch yourself feeling that way, give it a heart if you somehow felt that. I hope not, but yeah, that's the reality of things. We get to have that shiny object syndrome where we somehow see someone thriving in the community and never ever compare your chapter 1 to chapter 200 of someone else's. um,
Right.
there's a lot of things that we are sharing in social media, even me, right? We're sharing a lot of wins from our accelerator squads, but you don't know how many times they fail before they get that success. And I just truly hope that I think this is related to our question earlier, as you
Mhm.
get to experience everything, whatever you want to do in this industry, trying everything out while finding out your real potential or something that you enjoy. I hope you will be ready to acknowledge that there are really people is going to do better than you, and that's just how it is in the world. And don't be stressed around it, because really you can't do anything about it. But what you can control of, right, babe, is number one, how are you going to make yourself better for your client that would allow you to be someone to be recommended by your own
Yeah.
client. Number
True.
two, how are you focusing on branding yourself, where the kind of value you give to other people, not just for your client, for you to be known in
Yeah.
your expertise. And number three, how ready are you to have rejections, that you really won't have all the yeses in the world just because you felt like you're really good at something. And yes, we experience rejection right at this moment, squad. It's just a kind of, ano ba, babe, parang immune na kami sa ganon. Na-immune na. Pag dumating
Mm.
ka na sa point,
Nasanay
squad, na
na.
na-immune ka na sa rejection, talagang mamimili ka na ng mga opportunity that's gonna show up to you. But really, the shiny
Mhm.
object syndrome it's gonna say hello to you really pretty soon. Okay, I just want you to prepare for that. But I hope you focus on the things that, okay, something I can control of. And if it's something you can't control of, then let it go. Let it ease and flow somewhere and
Yeah.
focus on you. It could be um, getting your mindset growth, right? Getting yourself skilled. How do you level up your skills or services to your client? And if you don't have a client right now, how are you making yourself better as a freelance beginner? That would soon, right, be helpful for you when you land your very first client.
True.
That's just how it looks like, should I say, in this industry. And I hope that gives a lot of motivation to people watching right now who's, you don't have a client, you've been wanting to be here, you've been obsessed being in this industry for some reasons. I just hope that second or third reason is income. And if that is you, you're going to be really successful here, especially if your very first reason is, gusto ko mag-freelance because I want to learn how do I earn at home at the same time. I will help other people to do the same thing.
Yep.
And I believe that I'm a living proof that Ange is someone who's like that. And I think that's something that we promise to each other of doing because
Yeah.
we believe in that. I don't know. That's just a thing in the universe. It's gonna get back at you, right? Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Reminding me
Thank
that I
you.
I had a shiny object syndrome when we started. The third one is, it says here, babe, that what advice would you give? And by the way, you can now maybe put your questions in the chat box, whether you're tuning in live or joining us here via Zoom. It says here that what advice would you give the man to someone who's wanting to pursue a career similar to yours? Before you answer that question, can you give us a little bit of a details around what are you currently doing now as an online business owner?
Sure. Currently, I am a full-time designer. I'm a full-time designer, branding strategist, and I also own a team of VAs. I called it Angelina and Co. Because it's currently somehow tied up with my personal business profile before, so I kind of have a hard time switching it and taking my name out of it para sana medyo general yung pangalan ng team ko. I want to put it into iVirtuals, to be honest, but because it was somehow tied up with my profiles, and most of the clients are like, coming out to me because of my references and the
Yeah.
recommendations coming my previous client. I feel like I need to like put it in there just to give them this guarantee, just to guarantee them that, what, I'm still working with you guys. It may not be me physically doing the things for you, but I'm supervising these people, making sure that we're providing you the top quality type of service and marketing contents that you can possibly have with our service. So something to that effect. So I'm doing that. I have some projects. Mostly it's we're actually trying to like put it into package because currently I feel like there is an opportunity for us to kind of do it that way. Currently the project that I'm getting are more of like the funnels, the one that I'm posting on my social
Mhm.
media. I'm sure for those of you guys who are my friends in Facebook, you're seeing me doing my silent marketing. It was my first time doing it, babe, and it's so fun. I love doing it. I'm getting a lot of comments, not only from potential clients, right? But also from those who's really wanting to pursue the same type of career. And they're like, checking that and see it's like I'm creating that as part of my portfolio, just so when clients trying to check on me online, I would say that okay, there's this recommendation coming from a different clients or testimonial, some sort of stuff. So those are the things that I'm doing. I'm currently, talking to my team about doing some signature designs that we can somehow sell to those clients who are particular with the type of service that they're wanting. So ito yung mga kliyente na they don't want VA support for a month, which is completely fine with me. Like that is going to free me up from those commitments, but they're like more specific into us providing them a certain set of materials. Say when they're wanting to launch this type of program, they wanting to make sure that okay, the funnels are up, all marketing stuff are up. So we're like putting that into package because currently we're like doing it how it's like an old VA way, and like we're charging them per hour, which I think at some point it's good, right? Because you're like earning per hourly base. But I feel like there's an opportunity for us to somehow make it more, I don't know, a little bit smarter, like not totally in a way where we can charge the client more, but it's like just, telling them that, okay, this is the type of package that we have separate to if you're wanting to like avail this type of VA services. So those are the
Yeah.
type of services we're currently offering. and it for me it's so fun because I get to focus on the things that I love doing. Again, going back to the things that really sets my soul on fire, it's always about the designing. So
Yes.
anything that has VA related, I let my team do that for me. They're the best type of people in terms of VA, by the way. One of my client, I'm currently doing a part-time VA with her just because she's my very first client and I can just drop that one off. She's looking for a VA who can replace me doing those VA stuff because I'll be focusing more on the design piece of her business. So yeah, those are really the things that I'm really looking forward to really just, funnel it all down to the things that I love doing and like let other people do some other stuff that somehow those are the things that they love doing, right? It's more of like, this is my areas of expertise, so I'll be doing this. Okay, ako magaling ako sa design, so I'll be doing this. So really that's the type of team that I wanted to build in the future, like really putting people into the right places while earning a good amount of money, which is mostly uncapped type of income, which is one of the beauty of being in a freelancing industry. And for those, going back to the second question, for those aspirants who's wanting to have the same career that me and my team currently is doing, I say you guys go for it. Like I'm always a big fan and a big push for those, people who's willing and who's really wanting to put that effort to really be, on the best version of themselves. Like if you guys are seeing yourself like a successful designer in the future, like go for it. We started with that. Julie and I, I'd say hindi wala pa kami dun sa success na nakikita namin para sa sarili namin, but
Yes.
we started with that part where we're like, we don't know if we'll make it. I was like, there's this one conversation just to let you guys know where we actually ask ourselves, babalik pa kami dun? Baka kailangan namin mag-apply ng, operations manager na different, corp company if things won't work out for us, right? But of course, we always have to like remind ourselves that, you know what, we pioneer this. Mind you guys, may kilala ako na nag-start ng freelancing from the same company that we worked with, but they're not as active as Julie and I in terms of really telling people about it. And yung pressure sa amin ni Julie, knowing that we started this and that there are people, who's somehow looking up to us, really checking, pag naging successful sila, I'll jump in. Right? That pressure was like, okay, parang yung dating sa akin noong una, parang, oh my God, I'm so pressured, babe. But when I kind of look back at that. I was like, this is one of those push from people na hindi natin kilala and we just got to work with them. Nakita lang natin sila sa isang sulok ng tawag na to or nakita lang natin sila sa office, right? And now here they are trying to check how are we doing in terms of, the transitions that we did before. And it's just so amazing. It's so fun. And so for those who's wanting to have the same career, go nyo lang yan and go, right? Reach out to the right people because when you discuss things to those people who can't relate, it would always seem like you're bragging and some sort of stuff, right? So surround yourself with people who has the same goals as you. If you're looking at yourself as, okay, I gotta be a better version of myself in terms of my fitness, in terms of my financial status or in terms of this in terms of that, then you have to surround your people with the same type of mindset because if you surround yourself with people who's not really into that, you're like talking about those certain stuff, it would like sound like you're like bragging to them. Now they would just yun yung time na maririnig mo sila na okay, masyado ka naman ambisyosa to really think about becoming a designer, right? That's what it is. Like, I mean, it's not. I won't say that it's part of Filipino toxic Filipino culture, but that's how I experienced when I started with this journey. I was like discussing it to people who can't relate, and they were like, "Are you sure? Like, you don't even have your exist well, you don't even have a portfolio. Do you know how Filipino designers are in terms of designs and all those kind of stuff?" And so I was like, okay, maybe instead of me being too emotional getting those type of feedback and comments from them, I just have to surround myself with people who can relate. So one of that is of course Julie, babe. I was always asking her, how's my design, babe? Do you think this is something that I can show to my clients? Do you think this is something that they can appreciate and all that? And it worked, right? Because if you surround yourself with people outside a community who can't relate, it will always look like as if you're bragging or you're somehow too ambitious to do some stuff. So go for it, push for it, reach out to the right people. And I'm telling you, you're one step ahead of that dream life that you're wanting for yourself and your family.
I
Yeah.
love. Thank you, Miss Universe. Charing lang.
Pang speakers yung mga ano
I
natin.
I was so inspired, with the way you explain things, and I couldn't agree more with what you mentioned about, if you really want something that you truly desire, then say yes to it and then figure it out
Yeah.
from there. And I think something that I'd love to add with what you mentioned, Ange, um,
Mm.
specifically to those people who felt like they don't have that kind of environment that would support what they wanted to. First and foremost is be okay when people disagree what you want, because number one, these are not their dreams. um, and I've learned this the hard. We both learned this the hard way. Be ready for people who will disagree with your thoughts, and
Yes.
it's not because they're jealous at you. They're you don't want they don't want you to be successful. It's not like that, squad. Don't think it like
Mm.
that. It's really just about they can understand it the way you understand it, because again, you are the one who's obsessed with the idea of being in a different journey, and
Mhm.
they are just a human being who loves what they also do, right? And you
Yeah.
don't really have to make sense to a lot of people. That includes family members and friends. I'm not saying for you to hate them or feel bad about it. They're just an individual and human being who can make decisions and feel things that you also are feeling.
True.
Same thing with desiring something. So, but I think the most important thing is you saying yes to the things you really want. Ano pa talaga yung gusto mo? And
Absolutely.
are you truly respecting yourself of really getting that desire? Kung talagang gusto mo siya. And I can remember it so clearly, Ange, when we're working in the corporate, yun yung mga linyahan ko before when I am talking to people, right? Julie, I really want to be this kind of person. Okay, what are the things you're doing to say yes to that? Are the things that you're doing right now is aligned to what you really wanted to do? And if it's not, then why? And if it's yes, then great for you. What's next for you? Never ever limit yourself of, you know, um, doing something just because you felt like, oops, I'm here stepping in this journey of freelancing. I think I'm good. Wait for it till it slap you with changes that you
Yeah.
can no longer offer new things and you would feel outdated. So one of the
Mhm.
characteristics of becoming a successful freelancer. And we don't consider ourselves successful yet, Spa. We're not even halfway there, let me just tell you. But the attitude of you allowing yourself to learn from other people, I think that's one of the best things. If you have the pride of feeling like you can figure everything out, okay, go for it, experience it, and then get back to me and say, oh yeah, I'm wrong. I really can't figure everything out myself. I really need
Mhm.
someone to guide me. It's not just mentor, it could be a friend, it could be a co-freelancer or someone who's just in this journey and they're willing to share more a lot from you. But really, I hope that you will get to a point where when someone tells you that you can be that kind of person, you can't try it because you don't have portfolio, you don't have experience. I hope you are so solid that that's true, but I'm going to push forward. I'm
Yeah.
going to give it a shot. Not until I tried it and in my own very eyes and experience, I was rejected by a client who says,
Sure.
you don't have the talent. And if by
Yeah.
any chance there is, I don't feel sad for you, but I think that's not the right client for you. And what are you going to do with that feedback? How are you going to transition that feedback to you in a way that you would see it as an area of your improvement? Napaka-importante yan, squad. Alam mo tayo mga Pilipino, minsan balat sibuyas tayo ng very light. Yung tipong konting feedback lang ng client and they're very direct, right, Ange?
It
They're so
is.
direct if they don't like what they wanted. And you have to really put a little shield in your heart when you receive those kind of feedback because they don't want you to feel bad at all. It's just a business that they want to do with you. And they're giving that feedback to you because they want for you to improve too. Just like all
Absolutely.
the true friends you have, all the family who wants for you to succeed, they're going to be honest with you, giving you the tough love of giving you feedback to, right? I think you're slacking off, calling you out with those things. I think you really want to work from home, but you are spending your time doing nothing. So what would
Right.
how are you saying yes to your success if you're just doing those things? But really allow yourself to discover things, be open of getting feedback, learning from other people, and just like what Ange mentioned, those are just human beings who's experiencing other things to just like you, and you have a different journey. Your journey is unique, and you don't ever compare yourself to other people, someone else's, and don't get trapped just because you feel bad about someone says you something. um, you will get stronger, I would say, as you go. Thank you so much for that sharing, Ange. We're down to our two more questions. um,
Sure.
who are I'm gonna go for this that was supposed to be the last one. No, second to the last one. It says here, who, if you were going to name three people who have been the most influential to you, who are those people and what are the specific things that influenced you in your journey?
Yeah, well, there's just a lot, and somehow filing it down to three, that kind of made this question a lot harder than I thought. But okay, if I would choose three of those most influential people, I would first, I'm gonna put my parents to the first part, like them in one in the first place. Like I'd say we may not have that type of conversation, just like some other parents and daughter type of somehow sweet conversation and all that. But I feel like every time that I got into this conversation with them, like a quality time, coffee time with my dad or with my mom, it always feels like I'm learning from them, right? And I owe it to them. I would say not only because I have the combined chromosomes of them, not that, but more of like, in their own little ways, they're like somehow really, because I'm always at this journey of self-discovery, babe, and talking to my parents every time, like them telling me their stories, telling me stories when I was like this little girl. It somehow kind of put me back into that, self-discovery type of mode, that okay, I was this adventurous even at a younger age, right? So I feel like this is something that I have to keep doing now that I'm, not in a childish way, of course, but more of like keeping those attitude that I have, because I feel like, this little, I don't know, attitude that we have back when we were still a child, it somehow reminds us about humility and how we
Yeah.
really started at things. And I know, I just feel like it's somehow refreshing. Like every time I have that conversation with my dad about it, it just kind of put me back into that state where I have to like really think about, okay, this is where I started. And it's just things that I need to like keep into myself to really like stay, keep myself on the ground and really look at things on a different perspective. Because at times, especially when you're getting lots of good comments from people, and sometimes, and I think this is human nature, right? Like you can't help yourself but feel a little bit high, and you have to really look at things that keeps your humility at pace. Otherwise you'll
Yes.
be out there doing stuff that are not, you're not supposed to be doing. So I have that. They're really the first part. And then second, I would give my second rank talaga. Most second most influential to me, I would say I'd give it to Philippa, right? My very first client. I know she's gonna be so happy hearing this. Binabalik ko lang ang favor because she keeps on telling people about me every time that she goes live and she's having webinar. There's this webinar that she conducted the other day with her team, and she's like, "Oh, I have this amazing support who's always doing stuff for me, blah blah blah." And it's like, okay, I'll be a guest at V Academy or Squad Talk the next day. I'm gonna go ahead and tell them about you too. But really, that's just our, love language and all stuff. But really, Philippa is one of, I'd say, what I'm so lucky to be able to work with her. And I'm not telling this because she's my client, right? um I don't know, I feel like if not because of her, if not because of her giving me a good experience in my first journey as a VA, I wouldn't really enjoy it as much, right? That's
Yeah.
going to be like different. And I'm forever grateful about the stuff that she did in terms of really adjusting herself, her business, just to really wait until I get into that full bloom something, especially in the designer piece. Although Philippa is so open to telling people that, you know what, I'm really not good at designs. Everything that you see in my business, that's created by Ange and all those sort of stuff. So I appreciate so much that she really waited for me and really adjusted herself to the type of design. Kasi nung nagsa-start ako, absolutely, my works are not that so good. Like I would, it's my work anyway. I feel like it's crappy, and just like giving me this feedback that what, Ange, this is good, this is good. I was like, really, do you really feel that it's good? And I feel like it's really not. So yeah, it was just experience. And being Philippa's business support, feels like I'm so privileged, right? She's a coach and she's running a lot of webinars. Some of those are paid webinars, and I get to experience it for free because I'm the
Yes.
one who's doing the edits. And at some point, she's doing a lot of mindset training, money mindset, and a lot of those stuff. And I feel like I get to experience it firsthand prior to it being out there, being, sending people a lot of replays or giving them whatever they paid for. Ako muna yung naka-experience and ako muna yung nag-training for them. But it's really amazing. And I love how fair she is, not to mention that she's such an advanced, payer type of type of client. And that's just one thing, right?
The client
That's
we
what
love.
all yeah, the kind that we all love. Like it's just she loves my friend. She loves everything. I mean, everyone that's surrounded me, and she's just really amazing. And it's I told her the other day that what, I feel like I'm so blessed to have you. She's also one of the reason why I quit my 9 to 5 job, just because I feel like if I were to go back to being a team manager or even applying for higher post, they may not be able to like give her the commitment that I promised her.
Mhm.
And just like telling me about this hashtag Philippine Ange forever. And I was like, oh, that's so cheesy. Philly, that's so cheesy. So there, she's really, really amazing. And I learned a lot from her, from how she look at things in different perspective. She's one of the sweetest women I know. We're not perfect, you guys. We have some misunderstandings too, and I shared a lot of that to Julie. But really, it's a matter of really how, to me, one of the best thing about that is that when you connect to your client in a level where you somehow think more of what you do for them and not
Yeah.
really what you're earning from them, that is going to put your service to the next level. Like,
Yeah.
to be completely honest with you, my commitment with Philippa is just 4 hours a day, but I am so down of like extending it, even if it's unpaid at times, just so I can make sure that the type of service and the type of marketing graphics or whatever that she's asking me to do is on a high level. It's a very good quality when I send it over to her, because somehow, to me, that protects and that helps my connection with her grow in a level that I'm wanting for us. Because at the end of the day, that's definitely what they'll be looking at, right? It's not just more about the type of work that you're doing for them. It's more of like the connection that you did for them. The more that they
Love it.
feel that, what, my business is not going to work without her, the more that it's going to like put you in a space where, okay, this is the reason why I do what I do, right? This is the reason why I love helping these business owners, because the way how they appreciate me and the way how I play this role in their business. And to me, that's just, I don't know, it's just so amazing. It's such a great experience to really be able to experience firsthand, and to my first ever client, right? Because she's my first ever, and I keep telling her, you know what, you may be my first ever client, and I'll stay with you for as long as I am in the freelancing world, right? So yeah, that's a promise that we have, and it's so cheesy. Oh my God, Philly. And my third, since Naya finished, so my third, I'll save it for the last. Of course, Julie Bay for freelancing. It's definitely you. Just pretend as if you're not in here and we're not talking. But really, I'd say those, I don't know, I just couldn't imagine freelancing without you by my side, virtually and physically, right? Like, I feel it's gonna be like a different sort of journey if it's not you. First of all, you're the one who, introduces me to freelancing. And I just appreciate every type of conversation we have around life in general, like our goals and that stuff. And I feel like from the moment that we speak and connect when we get to work, for the first time, imagine 8, 10 years, right? Being
Yeah.
in the same company, tapos nagkatrabaho lang tayo last 2 years natin. Kumusta naman? That's just so funny, right? I was like, oh my God, really? Because when I entered quality, you're no longer in there, right? And when I
Yeah.
started working with with training, I think when I was still in quality, there is this part where we get to work with trainers. Yung magsisit in kami, tapos magdi-discuss ng mga quality stuff. You're no longer in there. You're like in a different department. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, makapunta na nga sa operations. So when I get into operations, you got stuck to training.
Yeah.
So really no point. 'Di ba? Parang kulang ng timing ni Lord na okay. So hindi ka nagkatrabaho ng last 8 years. I'll let you guys be together in this last, 2 years in the corporate, and I'll let
Yeah.
you, work with each other forever, like stick to each other. So just that, and I so loved our conversation. I feel like our friendship went from, you know, talking about things that are on not on a deeper level, kasi yung mga usapan natin before, it's more of like how are we going to like do this and do that, very ano siya, para siyang nasa upper part lang, and then
Mm-mm.
here we are now talking about things that are in a deeper level. We even talk about things about um yung mga kailangan naming services that we can provide to people, just so we can feel that we are really giving back, right, to
Yes.
whatever blessing that God is giving us. Because I
Share
feel
it.
like sharing it to people, not in a way na parang we're just doing it just because we're getting something out of it, but
Something.
more of like giving it out just because we're so grateful that okay, we had this opportunity to be in a space where it's just expansive, right? It's so huge, right? We didn't even imagine it to be this huge, you guys, to be honest. Nung nagsimula ako, I was like looking at this opportunity as if side hustle lang. Yung tipong may maigastos lang ako para pag gumala ako, hindi ko magagastos yung sahod ko as a team manager, right? And I was like thinking, okay, pag nag-part-time ako as VA, baka magkaroon na ako ng panggastos pag nag-beach ako next time. And it's just so amazing how God turned it into something that's really, really expansive. It's so massive that I didn't even imagine it to be this. In a 2 year span, I feel like hindi man kami naging part ng top, I don't know, top millionaires in a VA space, because I know this is
Yeah.
such a big world.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just I can really feel the level of growth that we both have in this space in just a span of 2 years, mind you, 2 years, and those, I don't know, those assets that we were able to like, you know,
Mm.
buy in this, I don't know, just it's just so
Afford. We can now
significant.
afford.
Oo, we can now afford to do it. Before, I was like, 10 years ako nagtrabaho, tapos wala akong nasave na gano'n, tapos hindi man ako nakabili ng ganito, ganyan. And just for 2 years, it was just so expansive. And not only that, that's really, really amazing. I just can't imagine it if it's different, if it's a different person, I would say. Not to really just, to give this cheesy speech for you, but more of like, I feel like it's gonna be different. Plus, hindi, ewan ko, parang I can't imagine training. I can't imagine V Academy without Julie. It's just gonna be different. Feels
Wow.
odd. Yeah,
Yeah.
just that.
Thank you. Thank you for the natouch naman ako doon. But I think something I'd love to share to them, talagang no cheesy at all. All the cheesiness on the side. It was hard. I just truly hope that everyone is going to watch this or listen to this in Spotify. Talagang sana makahanap kayo ng taong alam mo yun, hindi man partner, hindi man family member, at least a person who will just give you that push of, yeah, it's worth trying.
Right.
Hindi man freelance, it might be building a business, saying
Mhm.
yes to your artwork, building your own craft. You just need one person to really just say, yeah, go for it. Full support on you.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. And the kind of friendship that we have with Ange, and I'm pretty sure other people might get jealous of it because I think we are in this level of friendship where we can talk about a lot of things, and that's not just success, but I think we talk a lot more about our failures. Would you agree?
Yes.
Laging alam mo may problema ako. Ganyan. You need that kind of person. Freelancing is also depressing if you're going to do all things alone.
Yep.
You're going to have a lot of anxiety and it's going to crush you inside if you don't have someone to talk to, if you feel like alone. Because literal, nagtatrabaho ka mag-isa eh. Your clients are not with you. No one is managing, no one is supervising you. And
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of level of measurement where if you're really meant to do freelancing, because if you are able to work alone
Mhm.
virtually, then you can be a freelancer. Let's start from there. But if you're someone who used to work with a team physically, then I think a corporate setup is really good for you. And it's okay, not
Mhm.
everyone really has to be with you. And that's totally fine. But FYI, you don't have to be in the same journey for you to have that kind of long lasting friendship. It's more
Correct.
of respecting what you want and
Mhm.
saying yes to your dreams, to your desire. Like me and Ange, I don't have a creative spirit in me. Let me just say that. That's what she's doing is something I don't see myself of doing because I felt like it's gonna took me like 8 hours of doing a design. We have a different niche, right, Ange? We are
Yes.
so different in so many ways,
Right.
but the kind of relationship we have with Ange is because of the experience of us trying to figure everything out until we find our passion, our potential, what we want to say yes to. And I just really hope you have that kind of person in your life. And if there's none, and then, really connect to people that you really wanted to be engaged with. And it's going to be perfect if that person is in this industry or this journey. Kahit pareho kayo nagsa-start lang. Basta meron ka lang, ano ang tawag doon, babe? Parang meron kang
Um,
accountability partner. There you
yes.
go. Accountability partner. And it's going to do a lot of magical things with you. But let me end this question by saying that I we both believe that giving to people, it's not about money at all. It's just
Yeah.
giving back. As soon as you generate income doing whatever is going to help your business to flourish.
Mhm.
Regardless of the percentage, regardless if it's just 20 pesos of giving to someone. But this is what I love about Ange. And I think this is why we click so much, is because we believe that if you are someone who's a giver, not just because you're able to give, there's a difference between the two. But if you wanted to give back in any kind of way, you are going to be really blessed. And that's the kind of mindset, should I say, or something that we just promised to ourselves. If we made it, like we made it, we're going to give back in any kind of way. And that's the kind of friendship I have with her. And I'm very, very happy. If by any chance, have I not had Ange in my freelance journey, I'm currently crying and being depressed right now because I quit my job and I'm going to end up applying to another contact center as an operations manager, feeling like I'm a loser because I was bragging myself to everyone that I am getting out of here and hello another company. That's that's exactly what I want to do. And ang kagandahan naman dun, babe, pag talagang wala ka nang mababalikan, yung walang mawawala sa iyo pag ginawa mo yung isang bagay, talagang ipupush mo ng ng very hard, Talagang
Yes.
ipupush mo
I
talaga
agree.
talagang hindi na ako pwedeng bumalik. I need to make it work. It's going to work, let me just tell you. Just because
It is.
you truly committed in it. And, you know, wala nang balikan. wala
Yes.
nang wala nang parang I don't know, I just got this kind of picture in my mind like ano kayang sasabihin ng lahat ng tao pag ako nag-apply sa ibang company? Like, it's a big slap on my face. I don't want that. I think my ego is going to be hit. My good ego is going to be hit really bad. And no, I don't want it. So I need to make it work. And I'm pretty sure it's going to work. Really trust your journey. Now, thank you so much to everyone who's still tuning in live. And I'm down to the last one, babe. Oh my gosh. Parang we went over. Hindi naman. Um, last one is, what are the best resource you feel like people who starting in this journey can use or can do that would help them in this journey of freelancing?
Resources. It's something that I'd say. I think I already mentioned this earlier. When Julie and I started this journey, wala kaming V Academy, right? Wala kaming kahit anong resources. And I know some of you would say, okay, hindi ako mag-enroll sa ganito kasi may YouTube naman where I can get all this stuff. But I'm telling you guys ahead of time, and just to set clear expectation to you, it's hard. I tried that. We've been in that position where we have to get all of our things, like the links and everything like that, all the videos that we need to learn out from there. And it's just so hard putting it all into pieces. It's like you trying to complete this puzzle, and it's just not going to be complete until you get into that, you know, community where it can provide you everything, right? And I feel like you guys are so privileged. You guys are so lucky to be able to enter this industry with a community like this, right? The mere fact that you guys are here, that made your journey a lot easier and a lot awesome than we do. Because when we started, wala kami ganun. I have to like get all my resources from everything that I feel like I need to open. I have to like bug Julie every now and then. Julie, what do you think is this? How will I learn this? How will I learn that? Feeling ko ngayon yung reason kaya si Julie na Pavi Academy. Parang may isang,
Magtagal na lang kaya ako ng training
oo,
in.
parang may isang space na lang where I can get all of this information. And I think it's just smart enough. I mean, it's just a smart move if you would somehow take advantage of that because it's already being laid out to you guys, right? It's all being put into your way like a blueprint that you know what this is how you should start. And mind you guys, YouTube is not going to give you a certificate that most of the clients are now getting. I may be in that position or I may be that privileged enough to not go through a certain, I don't know, interview just like some of you guys. But as far as I know, there are clients, right? Clients who are really asking for some VAs to provide certificates, right? To really prove that they have gone through this kind of stuff and they can do this in a smooth manner and that they can deliver this and deliver that. So take advantage. The Academy is the best resources for you. May it be like a personal coaching with Julie, as long as you know that you have this one-stop shop community where you can get all the information that you have. Because I wish Julie and I had that before, right? Kung meron kami nito, I'd say we would have been a lot, a lot smarter, a lot more
Efficient.
successful, efficient, right? Kasi nandun na lahat, right? And although some of you would say, ay, bakit hindi kayo nag-take advantage ng mga offer ng iba? I try that, to be honest with you. I even enrolled to this community where they kind of offer the same type of service that I'm actually offering, like designing in peace. It's just so funny because when I heard them, I'm not trying to make them a laughing stock or whatnot, guys. It's just that when their trainer started talking about some stuff, nasanay lang siguro ako na it's Julie's doing the training and it's just on the next level. And I was like missing her Tampa Southern young accent. So when I heard
Grabe.
this trainer starting doing her training, I was like, oh my God, I miss Julie's voice. I might as well just just check on them and see if they're using the same type of tools that I'm using, which is something that I learned from that community. But in terms of trainer itself, I can attest that Julie is definitely one of the best. She's really the master of this craft, right? She mentioned earlier that she's not into design, just like what I do. And I can say that she's the best in terms of training. And I don't feel like there's anyone out there who's really as good as her. I tried doing it back when I was still in my 9 to 5, and I just can't do it. I just feel like it's not really part of me, babe. So she's really, really good at it. If you're looking for the best trainer, you're in the right, you're with the right person, right? You're in the right set of community. And yeah, if you're really wanting to push for a certain career who's definitely going to help you thrive in the future, this is the future, guys. I'm just so glad that we get to really start this and try leading the pack, right? Because again, this is going to like really help a lot of people. Julie's just aiming for 10,000, but mind you guys, looking at some of the statistics out there, they're saying that a lot of, the next 2025, I guess, a lot of more Filipinos are going to push for this kind of career because
Yeah.
one, the going back to office isn't just going to work for a lot of people now that they're so used at working at the, convenience of their home and all that. So I feel like if you are part of this community, you got to take advantage of it. Like
Yeah.
really, really take advantage of it and invest into yourself, guys. Don't ever think as if ay gagastos ako niyan, magastos yung ganito. That is really, I don't know, for me, that's like a good sign that you're into going to the right space, right? If you're into that part where you're like thinking, okay, this is my investment for this part of program. I really have to do something because I already shelled out, a certain amount of money out of this. So really have to make sure that this is going to be at its best. So really, really push for it. I mean, you're so lucky that you were introduced to this. This is not for everyone, you guys. There's a lot of people out there who's wanting to be part of this community. Nagkataon lang na they can't really, I don't know, somehow hindi makasabay. And I have nothing against them, right? I respect them, and I have such, high hopes that they somehow find the space that's really fit to them. But the mere fact that you guys are all here, some of you guys are even tuning into this podcast, consider yourself as lucky, right? That you get to work in your home, right? Hindi nakikipagsiksikan sa traffic, and right, you're surrounded with people who has the same, mindset in terms of reaching out a certain goal, and that is to make sure that you get to have the best features. So yeah,
I
that's the
love
best.
that. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Ange, for sharing that. And when you mentioned something about, having the community, para sa akin talaga, it's very important for you to be surrounded with people who has, if not same desire, at least in the same industry. And that's an inspiration why we literally created your confident VA community. You don't have to force yourself to enroll in my program because that's not my recommendation. I have
Mhm.
failed doing this business when I on my first 6 months because I was forcing people to be part of my coaching program. But really, this program or this community allows you to really check yourself. Okay, am I comfortable of being in this freelancing space? What are the things I can watch that is right here available for me without money involved that I can watch just to see if I'm fit for
Yeah.
this kind of community or industry? And if you
Hmm.
have the vibe in this community, it's going to be the same level of energy that you're going to get inside the accelerator program. But um, this community, your confident via community tuning in live, this community is created for you. And you are here for a reason. And I hope that you won't waste the opportunity of learning inside here of all the resources being available, hearing successful freelancers just like Ange sharing her story, not just to inspire you, but also really help you to get to a point where making a decision of, okay, do I see myself pushing for it? And if I say yes to it, what are the steps I'll be doing? And let me just clarify, I cannot be the coach for everyone. You have different kind of skills you want to enhance. I cannot be a coach for e-commerce. I cannot be a coach for graphic designs. I cannot be a coach for um, video editing. That's not my niche. I have a specific niche for social media management, automation, general VA, and that is okay. Let this community be a safe space for you. That's the word I've been waiting to say earlier, a safe space for you to just discover yourself
Yeah.
and how comfortable are you of doing something new to say yes to your desire. And again, something that I want to mention last before we end this podcast, because we're gonna do a part two here, kasi sobrang haba na itong chikahan namin, hindi tayo nakapag Q&A, is that and really find time to make a decision or ask yourself, ano ba talaga yung gusto kong gawin? If I don't want to report to work anymore, can I afford to quit my corporate job right away just because kasi gusto ko na mag-freelance? And we won't recommend you doing that.
Hmm.
We recommend for you to start it as a side hustle, build your
Yeah.
income, build your emergency fund just to prepare because you need income here. And the only way for you to thrive in this industry is not even investing to yourself right away. Because most of the time, Ange, people thought that if I invested to someone, they are responsible of creating the life for me. Definitely not. You are
Yeah.
investing to their knowledge and you have the responsibility to take action and implement things that you're being taught. And that's one of the biggest failure of people enrolling to a specific program. It could be accelerator program, it could be outside. It's you being ready to receive the knowledge and taking action and responsibility after that. Because that's gonna make it more fruitful for you. Hindi ka bibigyan ng coach mo ng kliyente na magbabayad ng 1 million pesos. You are the one
That's
who's going to attract it. And my next question is, how ready are you to meet those opportunities showing up to you? And second, how ready are you to say yes to those kind of opportunity? Are you skilled? Are you knowledgeable enough? Are you ready to face the client virtually just because you've prepared so much in the back end and you're
mhm.
ready to jump off, right? And I think I want everyone to be really inspired with that. Find the right
True.
coach for you. How do you find your right coach? Look at someone who's doing great things in the specific skill I wanted to do, the specific career I wanted to take, and check them. Do your best research. I think I put up a post here. But wow, this squad talk is very personal to me. And we're gonna do a part two. So please promise live right now. We're gonna do a Q&A with them really,
Sure.
really soon. But I appreciate you being in this you know, community right here, your confident VA. You've been a very good friend of mine at the same time, a community member. There's a lot of things we can talk about right here. Pwede namin itong gawin hanggang 12 midnight kung gusto nyo. But I appreciate you. You're just a human that I really love the most. Very, very special to me. And I just hope magpupunta kami sa point ni Ange. Ano ba yung Tagalog ko? We will come to this point where we are now able to give more to all of
Mhm.
you. We are now able to hire you. Naku, yung agency namin, 'di ba? We are now
True.
able to hire you and accommodate all of you. I mean, those are the things we have on our vision board. Like, darating kami sa point na maha-hire namin. Hindi man lahat kayo, pero marami sa inyo.
Yeah.
Because you are ready and prepared for that opportunity. So, before I end this session, my last question to you is, how are you preparing yourself to say yes to the opportunities that's going to show up to you really, really soon? If you want to jot that down, put it in your journal. I-journal niyo yan bukas ng umaga while you're meditating. Perfect, right? But
Good.
and thank you so much for saying yes to this
Okay.
podcast. Because even if you
Thanks
don't
for
say
having
yes to it, I'm gonna force you to do it anyway. But I appreciate you. More success to you and your business. Say hi to me with Philippa, but loads of love your way. And I'm
Thank
claiming for all
you.
the things. Ang haba na ng vision board natin. So,
Yeah.
ng ating dream list. So, I am going to be with you along the way in this journey.
Thank you.
Yay! Thank you
Thank you so
so
much.
much.
And thank you guys for
Um,
tuning in. I'm seeing a
Thank
lot
you
of
so
people
much, your Confident
really
VA
staying
group.
here. Thank you guys.
Yay! Thank you so much, your Confident VA community, for tuning in live. This will be available also in our Spotify.
Yep.
I love you all. Always remember to be confident, be inspired. VA Academy, lots of love your way. Have an amazing Friday and happy weekend. Oh my
Happy
gosh.
weekend, you guys.
Thank you, Ange. Bye.
Thanks, babe. Bye.